Welcome! Today I'm going to describe and explain step by step my astral projection technique. But I start by saying that there is no optimal method that is 100% foolproof. The most effective methods will vary anyway over the years and during different stages of life. This is so due to several factors. It may be because one adopted another diet, for example, a heavy diet rich in animal protein makes me less likely to astral project. Mental stress is obviously also an issue. The bed one sleeps in, the hours one goes to bed, the hours one usually gets up. All this influences success in achieving astral projection. I would even say that the best technique to achieve astral projection is actually to get excited about this phenomenon. For instance, reading a lot about the subject, reading other people's reports can imbue such a strong suggestion in our subconscious that at bedtime it is possible to have a spontaneous out-of-body experience due to mental programming resulting from excitement and thrill. That's how my first astral projection happened. Many years ago I learned the phenomenon, and because I got so thrilled, in the following morning I got a spontaneous astral projection. At that time I have even realized that such a phenomenon has happened to me before as a child. But because there is generally no context when one is a small child, we disregard it to be just a nightmare of sorts. So, going back to the mental programming caused by the thrill and excitement, this happens with children too, who get thrilled and frightened because of certain scenes in movies. For instance, they may go to bed constantly thinking about the scary scene, and thus they end up having nightmares. So that is all to say that the best technique to astral project is to obsess with it. Get really excited. That is the best technique, I would say. In this case, obsessing about having an out-of-body experience facilitates lucidity during regular dreaming, eventually resulting in astral travel, either from lucid dreaming or the direct continuous perception of coming out of the cocoon that is the physical body in the exit phase. That said, designed methods to astral travel that are wake-induced involve active participation once one is ready to sleep or meditate, and these are basically 3 steps. These active methods that I differentiate from passive methods like mild mnemonic induced lucid dreams can be generalized as having the following steps. First, it is necessary to put the physical body to sleep, but leaving the mind awake. Then, second, it's to provoke a sensation of proprioception of movement through visualization and breathing. And finally, third, focus on the intention to leave the physical body. For this, it is necessary there to be a constant repetition of affirmations, maintaining the perception of internal movement. To achieve this, over the years I have narrowed down my modus operandi, which consists of the following. First, lie down in bed in the most comfortable way and that best facilitates the exit from the physical body. That happens after the state of vibration and the loosening of the astral body. For example, I prefer to lie on my back because it seems to be more intuitive to get up and out of my physical body. Of course, preference can vary from person to person and is not a fundamental requirement. I've had astral projections in different body positions, even in a Padmasana position, sitting meditation. By doing this technique, I reached a profound altered state of consciousness. And this, despite being a very different experience from a regular astral projection, it is still very, very interesting, to say the least. But this kind of experience I will recount in another video. So, first lie down on a comfortable bed in your most intuitive position as when you are going to get up. Generally it is lying down on your back, and be sure you are comfy. Second, as we want to be comfortable so as not to create muscle tension in the physical body, it is equally important not to fall asleep, precisely because we are lying down and comfortable. Therefore, it is necessary to go to bed earlier. If you usually go to bed at, let's say, 11 p.m., go to bed at 10 p.m. instead. Some techniques advocate on waking up early in the morning after 4 or 5 hours of sleep, as this corresponds with a certain phase of sleep where dreaming occurs more intensely. This is okay, but you want to maximize all the night's potential. You can go early to bed and also wake up after 5 hours of sleep. Why is it a good practice to go early to bed? Because this gives you enough time to prepare your astral body, long enough so you won't fall asleep prematurely. Thus, the mental and energy dynamics provoked by the technique, together with affirmations that you're going to say later on, will greatly increase the probability of being able to make an astral projection, or at least an increase in the ability to remember the dreams you had. Ironically, astral projection methods are great for fighting insomnia, especially if they are done at exactly your bedtime. So it's opposed to what I suggested before. So first is to lie down comfortably without muscle tension. Second is to make sure you went to bed earlier as usual. Second remark should be first here. You have to decide what hour to go to bed and then lie down. Well, numbering is already messed up, but you get the point. The third stage, in the darkness of the room, relax with your eyes still open. Wait a few minutes and adjust your physical body if necessary. Breathe using as much of your lungs as possible, both when inhaling and exhaling. Let the eyes close after a minute or two. Don't wait too long, as this might get you tired and get you to sleep, and we don't want that. The reason for staying a little with eyes open is to allowing time to let the body and mind settle down without prematurely suffering from exhaustion. Yes, because the time will come when it will be necessary to exert a strong intention and mental focus to the fullest of your ability and at an extended time frame if necessary. But not yet. For now, very important to relax without falling asleep. This is the third aspect of my modus operandi. The fourth point I would like to mention is the following. From now on, we actively act on the intention, on the mental focus of leaving the body, which will be simultaneously an energy work for the astral body loosening, as well as a mental priming for the experience itself. It's like loading a new software to prepare for a different task. In this fourth stage and in the following ones, the breath must be fast to inhale and very slow to exhale. So in the third stage, you inhaled fully and exhaled fully out. Now in the fourth stage, you will inhale fast and exhale slowly. And it is helpful to remain only in the last half of the lung capacity. When inhaling, try to dilate only the lower abdomen, like making a belly, and then exhale slowly, half of the capacity. So, why make this rhythm, one might ask? Being quick to inhale and slow to exhale? Because together with the visualization of motion, it will become much easier to create a mental perception of this proprioception, this feeling of movement. For now, we want to feel ourselves sinking into the bed. This will be the first step of perceiving motion. Try to feel yourself sinking lower, as this will serve to put the body to sleep. You keep at it some rounds until you feel yourself kind of drifting sideways, almost as if being on a jelly surface. When this happens, you go to the next step. If not, you keep at it. It helps to watch the inner eyelids, the blackness. Why is that? Because you let your subconscious in control just for a while, and this permits you to enter a deeper state of mind. So, at the same time you try to feel yourself sinking into the bed, you do the prolonged exhalation. Imagine that you are blowing and inflating the balloons that are your arms and legs. However, the whole body becomes heavier and sinks. In this way, you will be able to put your body to sleep, but keep your mind awake. And why dilate only the lower abdomen with each inhalation? Because it will move less muscles, which helps to avoid tension in the physical body, and thus to put the body to sleep. If you breathe moving your chest as well, then this will be a distraction from complete physical and mental relaxation. The less we move physically and mentally, the better. For now, the focus is on not moving physically. And why inhale quickly and exhale slowly? Because breathing out slowly allows us to prolong the visualization of sinking. Breathing quickly allows us not to occupy our mind with any other ideas. And why use only the last half of lung capacity? Because that way it's easier to stay awake and not fall asleep completely. Remember, we only want to put the body, the physical body, to sleep, not the mind. So at this stage, we imagine sinking with each exhalation. We imagine the body getting heavier and heavier. At the same time, we visualize the limbs swelling with each exhalation. Keep this imagination and be careful not to contract any muscles. We really want to be totally relaxed. Continue the breathing exercise with this visualization. It is normal to stay at this stage for 30 minutes or so. So don't rush it. Sometimes you will transition from this step to the next following step, the fifth step, many times, because it is in the next step that it will be common to tense the muscles. So then again, one has to transition to the fourth stage to start over, to again relax. In both the fourth and the fifth step, you will notice thoughts in form of images that are rather nonsensical. When you start to wander without realizing it, certain image will pass through your head like slides projected into the darkness of your eyelids. This is good. It means you are in a deeper mental state. Let it develop, but keep observing. But not too much, as this will interfere with the whole process. This will break the process. You will tense your muscles and stop the hypnagogia. You observe it just enough and be still. Then register it again and be still again. Besides this, by now you will start to feel all disaligned and drifting, kind of sinking. When this happens, you move on to the step 5. Remember the breathing exercise. Inhale quickly, exhale slowly. And using only the last half of lung capacity, and you dilate the lower abdomen. Now you're going to imagine and keep this visualization no matter what. You imagine that with each exhalation you are emanating a double of yourself, starting from the forehead, a palm or foot in front of you. Remember the swelling exercise of your arms and legs as if an aura. You do this, but visualize it outside of your body. Also, every time you exhale, you're going to have to cross your eyes slightly, as if you're looking at something close to you. Your attention remains focused on the visualization and the breath, In the breathing exercise, slight inhalation and prolonged exhalation. Some people say that now you should start quoting affirmations to keep from falling asleep, and it too serves to programming the subconscious with an intent. This is okay, like saying I'm doing an astral projection, or I'm leaving my body, or I'm entering the astral plane, something like that. Keep saying that mentally as a mantra. It works, but personally I like to just keep it simple. I find that just saying Om, Om is effective just as much. I find it to activate the forehead chakra and certain feelings of lightheadedness. It is at this stage that the person can lose and regain the perception of the whole process. It's almost like a blackout, but suddenly the perception comes back. It is also at this stage that one should exert the most mental force, so to speak, to pressure the process before you fall asleep. But this coercion might deplete your focus energy and tense your muscles before you actually are in a deeper state. When this happens, you will have to return to the step 4 and start over by relaxing and feeling the sinking sensation. This back and forth can happen several times, so don't think all is lost for the night. If you can't do it right away, the transition from the 4th to the 5th stage. If on the contrary you feel light and loose, you go on to the step 6. At the 6th stage, it's when you start to feel yourself wavering or wobbling. Or another way to describe this sensation is the impression that you are going back and forth. When this happens, keep your eyes rolling upwards, like while exhaling, as you did before. Turn your eyes upwards, as this will increase the feeling of wavering and wobbling. It is the astral body letting go. The physical body will appear progressively heavier and eventually completely paralyzed. As you exhale and roll your eyes upwards, apply a light mental pressure to displace your astral body. Now, you shouldn't exert too much pressure, as this might awake your physical body. Just a light mental pressure. Or one might ask, what this mental pressure is like? Well, it is a force that one comes to realize that one has throughout the process of separation. Perhaps when you were a child, do you remember when you tried to move an object telepathically, like in the movies? To try to move an object from a distance, and that mental strain would end up tensing the muscles instead. Well, that's what I call mental pressure, but in astral projection we don't want this mental strain to cause muscle tension. So at this stage, all intention and mental conceptualization is noticeable as being a de facto action. When you feel yourself wobbling, apply this mental pressure to let go of the physical body. Imagine a destination close to you, for example some 30 centimeters of distance in front of your forehead, also your forehead chakra. Each time you exhale, slowly roll your eyes towards that point. I can't stress this enough. You won't visualize all of it simultaneously, but the idea is to cycle through these various aspects of this 6th stage. You can imagine an arrow coming out of the center of your forehead and pointing to that point in front of you. This will be enough to create the subtle mental pressure to displace the astral body. You can visualize a body like yours in parallel with your physical body. So there are different ways to do this. What matters is to maintain this symbolism which indicates the way out. At this stage, quoting affirmations is not ideal. It's better to keep a symbolism in the mind and stay silent, as still as possible. Only the lower abdomen moves because of the breathing technique. Along with the silent mind, just keeping the arrow symbolism. Eventually you get into the next stage. The 7th stage is the last stage before separation. There's not much to say here. My proper technique ends here, because from here on it's more a matter of accumulated experience, learning through successive trials. What I can still add regarding this stage is that this is where I let the wobbling turn into vibration that leads to all other energy and extrasensory phenomena. This is where the wobbling or wavering becomes increasingly intense. The vibration starts, and if the mental pressure is kept, one will feel increasingly lighter to the point of escape of the cocoon. An important note that I can underline is that one arrives at the necessary mental concentration for a strong intention to astral project, not by an effort to concentrate, but rather, when starting from a certain stage, letting the mind do the process. Let the mind do the process once it has been programmed with the arrow symbolism, the symbolism of movement and departure from the physical body. This is a kind of thinking of nothing, which is a fundamental throughout the 6th stage, prior to the 7th stage. This was a description of my technique. It's a rather long video, but it's a description of what I do instinctively now when I lie down to do an astral projection. So, to recap, the points I mentioned were: first, lying down at a decent time, not at the usual time, as that won't work. It's just an invitation to fall asleep completely. Second, one needs to make sure that one is comfortable lying down in the way that makes the most sense once exiting the physical body. Third, lie down with your eyes open for a while, a minute or two, while adjusting yourself. Fourth, inhale faster than exhaling. The exhale should be slower. Visualize the body getting heavier and visualize the arms and legs swelling. Breathe using only the upper half of your lung capacity, dilating and contracting only the lower abdomen. Fifth, realize that you have entered the hypnagogic state. Look into the back of your eyelids. Imagine something close in front of you. You can quote affirmations to not fall asleep and program your subconscious. Sixth, you will begin to feel yourself wavering and wobbling. And it is now that you must simultaneously roll your eyes upwards as you exhale slowly and focus on your forehead chakra. This will intensify the feeling of wavering and wobbling. Imagine a point 30 centimeters in front of the center of the forehead. Use symbolism to imprint an intention. For example, visualize an arrow. Hold this image as long as possible while breathing and moving your eyes in coordination. And seventh, from the 7th stage on, it is an art form in itself. It's a matter of trying, for it is something difficult to describe. The process from now on, all I can say is that deep down it's a mix of willpower and an empty mind, so one is not distracted by other things. Whether fear, panic, the physical body that has become tense, or an outside noise. Also, a lack of mental tenacity can abruptly end a projection. My advice before trying astral projection, really, it's just being truly passionate about the subject and what the experience implies, even if only as a subjective evidence of disembodied existence. Another piece of advice I give is to practice all these steps separately as forms of meditation. Qigong exercises are good to acquire sensitivity to simulate the limb swelling. Noticing this sensation is useful for this astral projection technique. Also, at any time of the day, you can try the breathing exercise. Practice a sudden breathing in and prolonged breathing out, but only half of the lung capacity. Furthermore, you can feel your arms and legs dilate. Other times, with the same breathing pattern, just focus on the body's relaxation, turning completely limp. A week later, do the same breathing exercise, but by rolling your eyes up and try to feel the point in the center of the forehead. All this is useful for later, when you seriously dedicate yourself to do it in a truly intentional way. This is absolutely essential. You can't be committed by just getting your feet wet. If you are not committed, the truth is that you will not be very successful in astral projections, unless you already have some innate gift for it. Well, anyway, I hope this video is useful for you. And please share this video so others that might be interested in the subject can learn. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I will make more videos with other themes about astral projections. Be well.